Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway, our news and notes for this week. And we have some things going on this week that we're going to tell you about. And, of course, we are heard on Boxing Along the Beltway Google app for Android. And I got to explain something about the Android app in a few minutes. I'll do that in a second. But also, we are on Spreaker.com, of course, iHeartRadio.com, and we're now on Stitcher.com. So you can listen to the Beltway Boxing News and Notes podcast throughout the weeks of those big events coming up. And you can hear about those big events coming up on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, and Stitcher.com. The Box on the Beltway Google app for Android, we had to redo that app. So waiting for Spreaker to put that app back in place. And once we do that, we'll be okay with that as well. So we'll let you know about that. Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief, from boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain to muscle strain, everything in between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. And if you go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She's selling great jewelry at DeborahSpears.com, but also she has great information about dieting. Weight loss information without dieting. You can eat real food along the way. That's on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, this week we're going to recap. We did a little recap, of course, last week about the live show. Hope you joined us from Martin's West and Woodlawn, Maryland, for the Shabazz Brothers card, and heard that broadcast. Of course, you can hear it archived on our Box on Beltway podcast. But also, we also did a surprisingly enough, a post-fight wrap-up show from the Sphinx Club. Sphinx Club had much better Wi-Fi this time around, so we were able to do at least a podcast from there as far as the post-fight wrap-up show is concerned. And hopefully next time we're there, we can do an actual broadcast, because the Wi-Fi was a whole lot better this time around. And it turned out to be a pretty good couple weeks for women's boxing, because we had a loss, a win, and a draw during the weekend, the last couple weeks. Of course, Tori Nelson, 2 Fridays ago, lost a 10-round unanimous decision to her opponent, and that was Christina Hammer. That was at the Masonic Temple in Detroit, Michigan. The bout was televised by Showtime, as you remember. And again, Nelson did not disgrace herself in that bout. Hammer was just dominant throughout that information. And Tori Nelson will be back very soon. She looks to be back in August, as a matter of fact. So we'll talk about that as we get closer to that. And also, of course, this past week, we had a couple big bouts for women. At Martin's West and Woodlawn, Maryland, we had the card featuring Tyrecia Douglas, and she battled to a 10-round draw with Helen Joseph, and that was a great bout. It really was one of the best bouts we've seen this year. And I really felt that as I said last week, Helen Joseph did a great job truly negating the speed of Tyrecia Douglas. And that's something that very few people have done. And she came forward, did an outstanding job in doing that. And again, it came down to how you saw that bout. Some people thought that Douglas was more accurate during the bout, and she probably was. But at the same time, it looked like Douglas was really not, Joseph was really more aggressive. So all depends, but she wasn't landing a whole lot of shots. So it was really, really an interesting bout to watch. Don Risher, the judge, scored the bout for Joseph. He said 98-92, but judges Dave Braslow and John Gradowski scored about at 95-95. So it's hard to tell, it was an interesting bout to see. I like to see that bout again. No question about that. Because, that was a very good bout, even through the ring entrances. Both had great entrances. Joseph had a headdress that was very unique, and she was accompanied by live drummers and dancing girls. And Douglas followed with African warriors coming to the ring, and it was really a great spectacle for us in this area. So that was really fun to see. Of course, it was a great night for the Rockman family as well. All the Rockman family, Hasim Jr., Sharif Rockman, as well as Hasim Senior's brother, Musin Kason, all won their bouts. So you can read the recaps once again on the blog, Boxing on the Beltway, or you can listen to the podcast in its entirety. Now, as far as last Saturday, June 30th at the Sphinx Club in Washington, D.C., Tierra Brown really was outstanding in her bout against Brittany Cruz, not stopping her in the fifth round. And Brown was just really on her game. She really pressured well. She landed great shots. And I tell you, I keep saying this, Lou DiBella has a gem, I think, in Tierra Brown, because she was just a really solid performer all throughout the contest. And she's going to be really something to deal with in the women's division. It was great because that particular night, on June 30th, a number of female boxers were in attendance. Raquel Miller, who's one of Tierra Brown's best friends, she was in attendance. Franchon Cruz de Zurin. I heard Clarissa Shields was there, but I didn't see her. But I heard she was there. And, of course, one of the legendary female boxers, Isra Gerger Wynn, was there, DC Boxing Hall of Famer. And it was just great to see because it was really a solid performance for Tierra Brown in front of some really good people. So it was really great to see. So also this past weekend, because we had at the Junior Olympics, Prep Nationals, and Youth Open at the Charleston Civic Center in Charleston, West Virginia, came back with 6 national champions. Number of them are repeat champions. A couple of them are repeat champions. In the Pee Wee 9 to 10 male 90-pound division, Khalil Robinson of Largo, Maryland, won the national championship. Darrell Black of Washington, D.C., won the Pee Wee 9 to 10 95-pound division. Jordan Roach, of course, the younger brother of Lamont Roach Jr., we'll talk about him in a few minutes. He won the 95-pound junior male division out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. Jamal Harvey won the 114-pound division out of Oxon Hill, Maryland. This is the second time he's won a championship in a different weight class. He was at 108 last year and won the championship. Bantam male, 110 pounds, Travis Best out of Oxon Hill, Maryland. And for the second straight year, Nasheed Smith out of Washington, D.C., won the youth male 178-pound championship. And for the second straight year, he defeated the same boxer, Alexis Espino of Las Vegas, Nevada. So it was great to see those championships come. And again, the amateurs really doing well. The younger amateurs really doing fantastic in a national championship situation. So it was great to see that as well. So congratulations there. Now let's move to this week because we got one other thing to talk about last week. Cassius Chaney, he's a cruiserweight out of Baltimore who now lives in New London, Connecticut. He remained undefeated, 13-0 now, as he won his bout past week. I believe it was in Las Vegas, and he knocked out Elder Alexander in the first round. That contest there. So congratulations to Cassius Chaney. Hopefully he can fight in this area once. He's never fought in Baltimore. His birthplace. So hopefully you can do that soon. Now let's talk about this month of July, and no bouts in the area this month. August will be the big month, and I tell you, we have some big things planned for August. We won't tell you right now, but hopefully within the next couple of days we'll give you one of the first big events that'll take place in August. And it is a pretty big event. I mean, in all honesty, it's not a championship per se, but there's some history involved, and it's a really great step for the promoter who's involved with this. I won't tell you any more than that, but it will be fantastic. Hopefully next week or so we'll be able to give that to you. But in July, there are 4 bouts. Excuse me. 4 bouts that'll be taking place in July that really big bouts, pretty big bouts. First one takes place on Friday, July 20th, and it'll be at the Grand Oasis Arena in Cancun, Mexico. And it'll feature Upper Marlboro, Maryland super featherweight Lamont Roach Jr. He'll battle Davey Julio El Cabo Besa of Montera, Colombia. And this will be for the vacant WBO International Super Featherweight Championship, and the bout will be televised live by ESPN. Now, this will be Roach's second straight opportunity for this title. Last time out, back on April 19th, Roach battled Orlando Cruz, and that was to a 10-round split decision draw. I thought Roach won that bout. That was also on ESPN, by the way, and the bout took place in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Roach is 16-0-1, 6 KOs, and Roach has also held the WBC Youth Silver Super Featherweight crown. So hopefully he can get this bout, but he has a tough one against Davy Bassa. Bassa is 20-4, 12 KOs. He broke a 2-bout losing streak in his last outing. He scored a 5th-round TKO over Johanna Romero on February 24th in Puerto Colombia, in Colombia. But Romero was 0-26 when he fought Bassa. Now, again, it could have been a late sub. I don't know what happened there, but he fought a guy who was 0-26. How that prepares you to face a guy like Montrose Jr. Is kind of baffling to me, in all honesty. We'll have to see. And looking at Bassa's record, he didn't fight anybody of any real significance. Not that Roach, although Roach has fought better competition, I think, overall. It'll be interesting to see what happens there because Roach, and also Bassa's 37 years old, too. So he's a little long in the tooth. Roach is 22, I believe he is. And so Roach has youth on his side. He has better competition on his side, and he has a better record overall. So we're interested to see what happens, and that'll be Friday, July 20th in Cancun, Mexico. Bout televised by ESPN, and I looked at the schedule. The bout is scheduled for 7 p.m. Eastern Time. 7 p.m. Eastern Time for this bout between Montrose Jr. and Davy Bassa. So we'll see what happens there. So that's just one of the 4 bouts that'll take place in July. Here comes the other 3 now. On Saturday, July 21st, there'll actually be 2 bouts in 2 different locations. Undefeated Frederick, Maryland super middleweight Devar Jengawar Farhadi. He will return to action in a 6-round contest. He'll take on George Sheppard of Newport News, Virginia. That bout will take place at the Caswell Civic Center in Yanceyville, North Carolina. Farhadi is 7-0, 6 KOs, but he hasn't fought since August of 2016. He scored a 3rd-round TKO over Christopher Perry. That was in Crystal City, Virginia. Now, there's a reason why Farhadi has not fought since 2016, and it has nothing to do with injuries or anything like that. As you may know, we've kind of chronicled the story here on Boxing on the Beltway. We've done interviews with Devar, great interview. And Farhadi, as you may know, is in medical school in his native Kurdistan. He's heading down the home stretch of medical school in Kurdistan. He's slated to graduate sometime next June. And then he's supposed to come to the United States and take one of his first exams here in the U.S. So Farhadi will be heading toward being a doctor. But as he's doing that, he is boxing on a periodic basis. So he's returning, and actually he'll be in his first 6-round contest against George Sheppard. And of course, Farhadi has some of the best body shots you ever want to see in your life. So Sheppard has to face that. Sheppard, by the way, is 1-3-1, coming off a 4-round majority draw against Richard Williams Jr. on April 14th at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia. Now, Sheppard is 1-2 against Beltway boxers. He lost his first 2 contests in his career against Jason Bell and Leo Alcaneta, but he notched his only win in a unanimous decision against Carlos Cruz. That was in August of 2017 at the Masonic Temple. So that's Devar Farhadi, Saturday, July 21st in Yanceyville, North Carolina. Also on July 21st, there'll be a rematch of former World Super Lightweight champions, former WBO champion DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley out of Washington, D.C. Of course, the ageless wonder, as I like to call him. He'll take on former WBA title holder Vicious Vivian Harris of Brooklyn, New York. That bout will take place at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, again, these guys should have fought 10 years ago, in all honesty. And this is the second bout between the two. The last time these 2 veterans met was in May of 2017. Corley won a 10-round unanimous decision over Harris in Raleigh, North Carolina, and both men were knocked down during the bout. Corley was in the 1st round. Harris got knocked down in the 7th round. This contest coming up on July 21st will be for the vacant American Boxing Federation Continental America's super lightweight title, whatever that is. And Corley is 51. Now, according to BoxRec, he's 51-29-1, but I think he lost his last fight against That was a fight, I believe, I forget exactly where it was, but I believe he lost it. So I believe he's 51-30-1 with 28 KOs. Meanwhile, Harris is 32-12-2 with 19 KOs. Now, Corley has fought at least 3 times since that bout. Now, again, he did have that bout that we're talking about that apparently there's no record of it. But Corley, prior to that, won a 12-round unanimous decision over Patrick Lopez. That was on April 7th in Lagos, Nigeria. And that was for the German version of the WBU lightweight title. So if nothing else, Corley's picking up minor titles all over the world. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Harris, however, has not fought since the last encounter with DeMarcus Corley. So we'll see what happens there. That's July 21st at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Then on Saturday, July 28th, 2 Beltway veterans who are really good friends, actually, they will face off at the Hollywood Casino in Columbus, Ohio. We're talking about Slick Nick Kisner out of Baltimore. He'll take on Scott Cujo Sigmund of Lynchburg, Virginia. And that should be a very interesting bout indeed. Again, these guys are friends. And, of course, when you have friends fighting every now and then, the bouts aren't very good. So we'll see. But Kisner is 20 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 6 KOs. He makes his 2nd straight and his 3rd overall trip to the Hollywood Casino. Kisner won a 10-round unanimous decision over Brian Holstein on March 3rd in his last bout. That was the 2nd win he's had over Holstein. And after that bout, Kisner was a little banged up. So he's just coming back. So he's able to come back now and fight on July 28th. Scott Cujo Sigmund is 31-12-1 with 16 KOs. He bounced back from his 10-round unanimous decision loss to Roy Jones Jr. That was on February 8th. And he won an 8-round unanimous decision in I believe it was in April against Alan Stevenson in Salem, Virginia. So that should be a very interesting bout indeed. I believe it's going to be live on Facebook. Somebody's going to show it on Facebook. So we'll get a chance to see that. And that's on Saturday, July 28th from the Hollywood Casino in Columbus, Ohio. So that is July, basically. There isn't a whole lot going on inside the belt. In fact, I think some amateur bouts. I think there's an amateur card coming up on July 21st. I'll get more information about that. But other than that, there really isn't a whole lot going on. But August will be huge. So stay with us along those lines for some great events that are coming up in the month of August. Now, I want to give a little tribute to close out the show. And again, for those of you on Stitcher, every now and again, I take an opportunity to pay tribute to somebody that has affected me personally, or even professionally, personally, whatever, and able to pay tribute to them. Normally, unfortunately, they usually have passed, but in this case, this guy is still going strong. I'm so happy to hear about that. This past week in National Harbor, at the Gaylord National Harbor, they had the CASITA Hall of Fame dinner. Now, CASITA, I'm going to look this up real quick so I make sure I get the right name. CASITA stands for the College Sports Information Directors of America. And they had their convention here in this area at the Gaylord National Harbor Conference Center and Resort in Oxon Hill, Maryland, right across the street, basically, from the MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill. And they had they had a Hall of Fame, and they honored a guy that has meant so much to me over the past 30-some years. He has been a remarkable person. He's been a mentor. He's been a leader. He's been a coach. He's been a legendary sports information director over the last 30 years. Recently retired from Howard University. His name is Edward Hill Jr., Ed Hill. Some of his close friends call him Huck. Now, Ed is a native of Wilmington, North Carolina, but he spent a lot of his years here in Washington, D.C. And I met Ed back in 1982. And he was the assistant sports information director at Howard University under a great guy by the name of Lois Clemens. And I was a sophomore at Howard at the time. And I was just starting to do things at Howard University. I was working for the Hilltop newsletter, and I later transitioned to WHBC as the sports information director for the campus radio station there. And I was also starting my public address announcing career, with Howard University, started doing women's basketball. And I met Ed, and we hit it off right away. And he just moved into the job. He'd been a stringer for a number of newspapers, the Winston-Salem Chronicle, and also the Washington Post, covering high school and some college athletics. But then he settled in as assistant sports information director at Howard. And for a lot of people, if you don't know, if you're in the sports information department at an HBCU, a historically black college university, you don't have a lot of resources to work with. You work in, not great conditions. You don't have a lot of resources to work with, and it can be very, very difficult. But Lois and Ed made it work. Well, finally, Lois moved on to other opportunities within the university, Howard University, and Ed took over as sports information director. He stayed there for the next 30 years. And through that time, the bond between myself and Ed just grew stronger and stronger. And Ed had so many connections within the area, the Washington, D.C. area, that he was very generous with his time and generous with his opportunities. Not only did he work at Howard University, he also coached a AAU basketball team in Washington, D.C. at the number 10 boys club in Northwest. And some great people came out of that program. The likes of Anwar McQueen, who later went on to play at University of California, and the great assistant coach, Dwayne Simpkins, who's the assistant coach now at George Mason. He went on to play at DeMatha, and I got a chance to follow him along with his teammate, Vaughn Jones, who Dwayne Simpkins went from DeMatha to University of Maryland and played and now is assistant coach at George Mason University. I think that's where he is. And also Vaughn Jones, who played at George Washington College and went on to coach high school basketball over the years and went on to a great career there. And just some people that he worked with over the years. I had a chance Ed would allow me to announce the basketball games during that time frame. And it was great. It was just fantastic. And Ed got me involved in a lot of events over the years. Of course, I did homecoming while I was at Howard. I was able to do a number of city title basketball games as announcer, as well as the Turkey Bowl football game, which is our public school, high school championship here in Washington, D.C. But he was always looking out, always helping. And Ed Hill has a tree of people that over the years he helped along the way and became better. I'm happy to say I was among the first in that tree. And his assistant at the time was a guy named Jesse Batten. And Jesse Batten and I actually went to school together at Howard. And Jesse went on to be the sports information director at Coppin State University. And that's how I got over there. And I've been at Coppin State at the public address announcer for the basketball team for the last, going on my 25th year now. But the tree from Ed just went on. I mean, my very good friend, a public relations person here in the area by the name of Terry Washington. She's a great friend of mine. And she went on from Howard, working with Ed, to Georgia Tech University. She worked at the NBA, at the NBA in PR for them for many years, and now has her own PR firm. So she's doing well. You may have heard of one of the great broadcasters in the area, in the country, I should say, who's done a lot of things from boxing to MMA to football to basketball, you name it. Gus Johnson, you may know him. Gus is a member of that tree. Marcus Matthews, who I know from church, actually. He and I went to church together, and he has been working. Well, I think he just finished working at ESPN. He's now the undefeated for the ESPN properties. He's out of that tree. A young man by the name of Chuck Walton, who I believe works for the Golden State Warriors. I think he has two rings just from working with the Golden State Warriors. He's a part of that tree. And there's so many others that have been influenced by Ed Hill. I mean, number of sports information directors around the country, and he is just a great person. One of the greatest people I've ever known. We still remain friends to this very day. We talk every now and again, and he has just been a tremendous person. And he recently just got inducted into the CASITA Hall of Fame, and I couldn't think of anything that's better deserved than Ed Hill getting into that Hall of Fame, because he has just been a tremendous person. I know it's like the third or fourth Hall of Fame he's been in. He's in the MEAC Hall of Fame. He's in the Howard University Hall of Fame. He's in the Cardozo High School Hall of Fame. He is just well known, and he's as humble as a man could be. He is just a remarkable person, and I'm privileged to call him my friend. And I just wanted to pay tribute to him because he is just a remarkable person, and I love him dearly. No question about that. So congratulations to Ed Hill Jr., a member of the College Sports Information Directors Hall of Fame. That'll do it here for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Remember, Beltway Boxing News and Notes brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, get great jewelry and great weight loss tips by going to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for joining me, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.